Shalom! Welcome back to Hebrew. We will be discussing in this video the beginning of chapter 7, talking about the construct chain. The great thing here is that we'll be able to read really full Hebrew sentences after this point, because what we're learning is how they put sentences together. And that is using what we're going to learn here, the construct chain. So, we can start with a couple of examples, things that we can already just figure out. Ben David, for example. Ben David. Remember, this little hyphen here is a makef in Hebrew. That is just a hyphen. It shows you these two words go together. So Ben means son, and David means David. So what do you think that means, Ben David? Well, son David is what it means literally, but it means son of David, the son of David. Ben David. Or let's think about this one. Eretz Yisrael. Eretz means land, and Yisrael means Israel, so the land of Israel, right? Now, I don't see the word of here in Hebrew, and I actually don't see the word the either here, right? The definite article is not here. But as we'll see in just a moment, this is the way that we create these kind of phrases in Hebrew. The land of Israel is Eretz Yisrael. Or Eved Yahweh. Eved means servant. So Eved Yahweh means a servant of Yahweh, or the servant of Yahweh. Or Shir Chana. Shir means song, and Chana is Hannah. The song of Hannah. Shir Chana, which you can find in 1 Samuel chapter 2. So, think about this. In English, you might say the son of David. That's the same thing as David's son, right? If I say the son of David, I mean David's son, I would be saying the same thing. This apostrophe S in English, we would call the possessive. So this construction, the son of David, is another way to say David's son. So what we're going to be learning today is really how we can make possessive constructions in Hebrew, and that is with this construct chain, or the land of Israel. That's the same as Israel's land, or the servant of Yahweh. That's also Yahweh's servant. Notice that these words here, David, Israel, Yahweh, these are definite, right? They're definite names, a name of a king, a name of a place, a nation, and a land, the name of a god, right? So David, Israel, Yahweh, these are definite things. So the servant of Yahweh, the land of Israel, the son of David, David's son, Israel's land, Yahweh's servant. We're talking about the possessive of particular nouns. The song of Hannah, Hannah's song. Same exact way. So instead of using of or apostrophe S, Hebrew simply juxtaposes the nouns. Hebrew just puts the nouns one right after the other. So Ben David. This is a noun, it means son. This is a noun, it means David. If you put them next to each other, in Hebrew, they would understand that you're trying to say the son of David, or David's son. Eretz Yisrael, land of Israel, or Israel's land. Both are true and the same potential meaning here. Eved Yahweh, servant of Yahweh, Yahweh's servant, and Shir Hannah, song of Hannah, or Hannah's song. This juxtaposition, or putting two words next to each other, two nouns next to each other to create that meaning, that's called a construct chain. So we would say that the word that comes at the end of that chain, remember we're working with Hebrew, we're starting with the right, moving to the left. The word that comes at the end is the absolute. That's like the name. So Ben David, the son of David, David was the absolute. Or Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, Israel was the absolute. The constructs, these are the CS right here is construct, construct, construct. We can make a chain of these, and we can put these nouns in construct to one another, and then just the one that comes at the end of that chain, that's the absolute. And the constructs, it can be the last one of the sons of David or something like that. So we can have these be indefinite or definite. Those examples were definite, by the way, and we'll get to why that was in just a moment. But you can make these indefinite. So Bain, Ish, Chayil. Bain means son. Ish means man, and Chayil means valor. Son, man, valor. in Hebrew, when you just put these nouns next to each other, people understand them to be in construct to one another. So, son of a man of valor. There's no definite articles anywhere here. And this last word, chayil, it just means valor. It doesn't mean, it's not a particular name. It's not a definite noun. So there's nothing definite in this whole sequence. So we would use a lot of indefinite articles then to put this together in English, to translate it. A son of a man of valor. Bein ish chayil. You could make this definite, though. Now notice how we do this in Hebrew. We don't say ha-bein, ha-ish, ha-ir. So ir means city over here, right? So bein means man. I saw son, ish means man, and ir means city. So bein, ish is son, man, the city. So in Hebrew, when the absolute, the last noun in this chain of nouns, when it is definite, when it has the definite article like ha, or when it's a name like David, or a place like Israel, or when it is in the name of a god like Yahweh, then that definiteness works back up the chain. So you don't have to make everything definite. You just understand that all these things have to be definite. So the son of the man of the city, even though only the absolute, or the last one in the chain, has this definite article marked. So the definite article never appears on a construct noun, only on the absolute at the end of the chain of constructs. A construct chain is indefinite if the absolute is indefinite. So this is that first example, bein ish chayil. This is the same example on the previous page, that first example. Chayil is the absolute because it's the last one in the chain. Everything else is of it. So a son of a man of valor, end of construct chain. This is the absolute, chayil, and it works its way back up the chain, whether it's indefinite or definite. So there's no definite article here, and chayil just means valor. It's not a definite thing. So it's indefinite. Everything's indefinite. A son of a man of valor. Ish milchama. Milchama means war or battle. Ish means man. So a man of a war, or of battle in general. Not a particular battle, not a particular war. A man of war. A construct chain then is definite if the absolute is definite. That last one in the chain. So ir, this is bein ish ha'ir, a son of a man of the city. Then we got to take this and move it all the way back up the chain. So everything becomes definite retroactively, right? It kind of works its way back up the chain. So the son of the man of the city. The son of the man of the city. You only need to mark the last element in a construct chain. Now, you may be thinking, wait, isn't this like adjectives and attributive? That's adjectives, right? These are all nouns. When you have a stacked up group of nouns, just smack right next to one another, that's a construct chain, or it likely is. If it doesn't make sense at all in the context, then maybe you're looking at just a bunch of nouns and you have to divide it up in a different way. But if usually when you have nouns stacked up like this on one on top of the other, the purpose is to create this construct chain. So that's when you start noticing where is the last one, the absolute, the last noun in the chain, is it definite or indefinite? And then you look back up the chain to see what the other ones are. Okay, so Eved Yahweh. Eved means servant. Now, it doesn't have a definite article, so we might think it means a servant. But then we have this noun that comes right after this other noun, a servant of Yahweh. But remember, Yahweh is definite. It's a definite name, so it's going to work back up the chain, so it's going to be the servant of Yahweh. So, the following are understood to be definite. Remember, just reminding ourselves, what does it mean to have a definite thing, a definite noun? A noun that has a definite article attached to it, like Hamelech, that's definite. Proper names like David or Yahweh or Israel, those things are definite always. And then nouns with suffixed pronouns. Remember, we talked about these little things. We'll talk about them more later. But these little pronouns like our stuck on the end, that can make everything definite all the way back up the chain. So you might be thinking to yourself, what if I want to say the king, but then I want to say a son of the king? Like, it doesn't matter which son. Let's say there's 10 sons to a king, and I don't care which one we're talking about, but I know which king I'm talking about, right? So I want the king to be definite in my sentence, but I don't care about making the son definite, a son of the king. Remember, the definiteness works its way back up the construct chain. Well, there's a different way to say this in Hebrew. You don't use a construct chain to say a son of the king. Instead, you say Bain Lamelech. Bain meaning son, and Lamed meaning 2 or 4. And then here's your patak and your dagesh, meaning the definite article, and then Melech, king. A son to the king. And we translate this in English as a son of the king. Sorry, I'll go back there. Note this construction is not a chain. This is a prepositional phrase. Lamed here is a preposition. Preposition means a word that relates to things in terms of time or space. So Bain Lamelech, a son of the king, right? The son is related to the king. Okay, so here we have a couple of examples of this possibilities of creating these construct chains. So Bain Yeshai, that's the son of Jesse, Yeshai, Jesse in English. So Bain, son, Yeshai, Jesse. Jesse's definite. It's this right here, Yeshai. That's a definite name, Jesse. And Bain means a son. Remember, this is a construct chain. We got this noun, we got this noun. They're slapped together right next to each other. And Yeshai is definite, so definiteness is going to work back up the chain. I know this doesn't have a definite article here, but we're going to translate it as if it does, because it's in a construct chain and the absolute is definite. Now, if I want to say a son of Jesse, like it doesn't matter which of these sons of Jesse it is, right? I would say Bain le Yeshai, a son to Jesse. Jesse is definite. I don't care which son, and this is the way I'm going to say a son to Jesse. I translate this as a son of Jesse. So this is just a way that Hebrew communicates possessiveness and definiteness. So this is an important distinction. It could mean the difference between translating a text, with 2 completely different meanings. So here's an example down here. Eved Adoni. Adonai means Lord. Adoni, this E ending here, means me or my. A servant of the Lord of me. A servant of my Lord. Now, remember, Lord is not a definite word. It's a general word. There could be lots of lords. Lord doesn't just mean God, right? It can mean anyone who's in a position of authority in the ancient world, a person too, like a king or a general, or even a person who's kind of symbolically in charge of a household. So Adoni, my Lord, but my this over here, that's definite. Remember those pronouns that you add to the ends of nouns? My Lord is a particular Lord, not just any Lord. So a servant of the Lord of me, this definiteness is going to work its way back up the chain, and this is going to be the servant of my Lord, which can be a pretty different thing than a servant of my Lord, which is what this says. Eved, this is the same exact word here, a servant, le Adoni, to the Lord of me. Now this lamed here, what that's doing is telling you that this is not definite, right? This is not a construct chain. It's a prepositional phrase. You're using the preposition to relate them instead of just having them juxtaposed one next to the other. And that is going to mean that this can be indefinite while this is definite. That's the whole purpose of that construction. So a servant of my Lord rather than the servant of my Lord. Okay, so that's a pretty ticky-tacky distinction there. But like I said, in stories, it'll actually make a difference what the characters are saying. So what does this one say? Ben Ish. Ben Ish. Ben means son. Ish means man. Is Ish definite or indefinite? Now, there's no definite article, and man is a very general word, so it's not a particular person that's necessarily being described here. So this would have to be a son of a man. These two nouns are next to each other. They're a construct chain. Makefs are oftentimes, they show you those two words are related one to another. And so they will, if you see two nouns connected with a makef, they're creating a construct chain there. Shem ha-isha. Ha-isha, let's start with that one. Isha, you should know from your vocab, that's woman. Ha-isha is the woman. And then shem means name. Now, shem does not have a definite article in front of it, but shem, name, is a noun, and isha is a noun. So you have two nouns next to each other. The absolute, then, the last one in the chain, has a definite article. It's going to work its way back up the chain, so it's going to be the name of the woman. Or ben Navi. Navi means prophet. It is not definite. Ha-Navi would be the prophet, or a name like Elijah would be the particular name of a prophet. But Ben Navi just means a son of a prophet. Avadim le-Sha'ul. Avadim, Eved means servant. Avadim means servants. Masculine plural ending there. Le-Sha'ul. Shaul is Saul, the king. The lamed means two or four. That's a preposition. So this is a prepositional phrase. Servants to Saul. Saul is definite. It's a definite person, right? Saul as opposed to Samuel or David, right? As a particular person, so that's always definite. And the definiteness would work up a chain, but this is not a chain. It's a prepositional phrase. So this is servants, not the servants, just indistinct, indistinguishable, indefinite servants to Saul. Servants of Saul, or to Saul, or for Saul. Those are all possible translations. Mi pari ha'etz. This one's tricky. I've tricked you here. I've added a little something here. This is min. This is the preposition min. From, the noon curled up and jumped into this word. Pari means fruit. From, fruit. Ha'etz, the tree. Fruit is a noun, fruit, and the tree is a noun. So we have here a construct phrase. You can put a preposition at the front of a construct phrase, but if you put a preposition in the middle of what looks like two nouns put next to each other, that's going to break up. It's not going to be a construct chain then. But you can start one off with a preposition, from the fruit of the tree. Now, why did I say the fruit? There's no ha here. Pari means fruit. Ha-pari means the fruit, because the absolute, eitz means tree. Ha-eitz means the tree. The definiteness is going to work its way back up the chain. From the fruit of the tree. This is, by the way, from Genesis chapter 3. Some nouns are modified in the construct state. When you put some nouns into construct, right? So remember, the construct ones are the ones that come first. The absolute is the one at the end. The absolute's going to look like it normally looks. Some nouns, when you put them into the construct state, they will change a little bit. The reason is when you make a construct chain, all of the stress of these words shifts down to the last word. You kind of string them all together and sometimes pronounce them a little bit less. There's a little bit less vowel usage there. In the same way that when I put a bunch of words together in English, sometimes I change the stress of them. So if I say, I am going to the pool today, I am going to the pool today, when I put all those together, I actually reduce a lot of those vowels when I say them if I'm speaking to someone that I know. So if I talk to my kids, I never say, I am going to the pool today. That sounds a bit stilted in English, a bit formal. If I talk to my kids, I'll say, I'm going to the pool today. I'm going to the pool, right? See how I'm swallowing some of my letters, I'm reducing some of the vowels. That happens in Hebrew when you make a construct state. You change some of the letters to represent the fact that you're connecting all these nouns together. One of the changes is that the ah ending, a very open ending, becomes at. Remember, at is a feminine ending. You can use this as a feminine ending just all by itself, like bat means daughter. Ben means son, bat means daughter. So at is a feminine ending all by itself, but if you have a word that ends in ah, like Torah means the instruction or law of Moses, Torah, the Torah, right? Torah is a feminine object. the feminine noun, meaning in the instruction. So Torah, if I want to say the instruction of Moses, I wouldn't say Torah Moshe. Instruction of Moses, I would say Torat Moshe. The Kametz He turns into a patak tav. This makes it easier to say Torah Moshe, Torat Moshe. Notice that I'm like ending the kind of open-ended word to make it easier for me to say another word very quickly after that. So Torah, this word I've been saying, Torah, that's like the first 5 books of the Bible, right? But it also just generally means God's teaching or God's instruction. It's often translated in English as law, which is not a very good translation. There's lots of laws in the Torah, but the Torah is a lot bigger than laws. It really means God's instruction or teaching. So Torah, if I want to say the Torah of Moses, I wouldn't say Torah Moshe. Moshe is how you say Moses in Hebrew. I wouldn't say Torah Moshe. I would say Torat Moshe. Or the law of God, Yahweh, right? I wouldn't say Torah Yahweh. That would be the law of Yahweh. But that's not how people say it in Hebrew. And when you put it in construct, because it has an a ending, it turns into an at ending. So it would be Torat Yahweh, the law of Yahweh. And it's the law of Yahweh, by the way, Torat Yahweh, because Yahweh's definite. And definiteness works back up the chain. Susa means a horse. If I want to say, or mare, I'm sorry. A sus is masculine horse. Susa is feminine, mare. But Susa, if I want to say the mare of Elijah, I wouldn't say Susa Eliah. Eliah is how you say Elijah in Hebrew. Susa Eliah, I wouldn't say that. I would say Susat Eliah, the horse of Elijah. All right? Or Chochmah. Chochmah, this is a Kametz Chatuf, by the way, this little thing right here. I know this because I know this word. Chochmah means wisdom, used to talk about woman wisdom, who helps create the world with God in Proverbs chapter 8, verses 22 to through 31, and is given, is spoken of as if woman wisdom is a person, personified, and helps God to create the world. So Chochmah, wisdom. But I wouldn't say the wisdom of Yahweh, Chochmah Yahweh. I would say Chochmat Yahweh. Because my Kametz He turns into a patak tav. I also have reduction. If you have these long vowels, like a kametz or a tsere, they will often reduce to a schwa. Again, just like instead of saying I am going to the pool today, I say I'm going to pool today. I'm going to go to the pool today. I reduce a lot of those vowels in English. Well, they do that in Hebrew too when they make these constructs. So shalom, meaning peace. If they want to say the peace of God, they would say shalom, or the peace of Yahweh, they would say shalom Yahweh. Shalom. So shalom Yahweh reduces to shalom Yahweh, the peace of Yahweh. Shemot, meaning names. This is the name of the book of Exodus in Hebrew, actually. So the book of Exodus in Hebrew is not named Exodus, it's named Shemot, because that's the first full word of the book of Exodus. Just like the name of the book Genesis in Hebrew is Bereshit, because it's the first word. So here you go, Shemot, names, or the book of Exodus. If you want to say the names of God, you wouldn't say Shemot Yahweh, you'd say Shemot Yahweh. Davar means word. If you want to say the word of Yahweh, you wouldn't say Davar Yahweh, you'd say Dvar Yahweh. Notice the reduction in both those vowels there. Now, you don't have to do this. You don't have to show me that you know this. You just have to show me that you can read these words and recognize that it's the same word, even though that vowel has changed. So, Devar Yahweh, the word of Yahweh. Banim, B'nai. Banim, by the way, is Ben means son. Banim is sons. It can also be used, this particular word banim can also be used to mean members of a class or a type. So like little rocks. Evan means rock in Hebrew, like Ebenezer. Ebenezer means stone of help, a stone of helping, to like help you remember what God did there. But a bunch of pebbles would be B'nai Evan, sons of stone. Now, a pebble isn't a boy. They knew that in ancient Israel. The purpose of that was to say like members of a class. So banim means sons, but it can also mean things, part of some sort of class of things. But banei is how you'll see this when it's describing something. So Yisrael means Israel. Banei Yisrael literally means sons of Israel, and it's translated that way sometimes, but it does not mean that. When the sons of Israel go marching, into the wilderness with Moses. After leaving Egypt, they are not the sons of Israel. It's not just boys or something, and it's not even people just related to Israel. You may think it's the tribes or something, but it's not even that. It means Israelites, the members of the subclass of Israel. But B'nai is how you'll always see that when it's used in that way, because it's always in construct when it's used to describe members of a class. So B'nai Yisrael, the Israelites, or the children of Israel, or the members of the Israelite community. Okay, so consider this phrase carefully, and then let's translate. And we're going to combine a few things that we just recently learned and see if we can hold on to all that together. So, ben ha'isha ha'tova ha'zeh. Ben ha'isha ha'tova ha'zeh. Ben meaning son, ha'isha meaning the woman, ha'tov meaning the good, hazeh meaning this. Now there is some ambiguity here, but we can solve it with the clues that we know about Hebrew. Ben means son, ha'isha means the woman, son of the woman. Notice we have ben here, a noun. We have isha, another noun, and a definite article here. So son of the woman. These are in construct. This is the absolute. This is the construct. Ben ha'isha, son. Here's the makef here tying them together. Son of the woman. Remember, definiteness works its way back up the chain. So even though it doesn't say it, we translate it as the son of the woman. But then we have these adjectives and demonstratives that come afterwards. Ha-tov, ha-zeh, the good one, the this. But do these describe the woman or the son? Which one is this good? Is it this good son of the woman, or is it this, or the son of this good woman? Now we can figure this out because in Hebrew, they actually encode the number and gender, the grammatical gender of these different, with the adjectives and demonstratives. So zeh is a masculine singular demonstrative. Tov is a masculine singular adjective. So does it describe the son or the woman? Well, likely it will describe the son. We're going to guess that. And if it doesn't make sense in context, we can try to figure out other ways to attribute these adjectives. But this is the way it's going to work in Hebrew. So the son of the woman, and then we're going to see ha-tov, ha-zeh. These are masculine singular. So we're going to say this good son of the woman. This good son of the woman. The ones in yellow are all connected. So notice your adjectives, if you have a construct chain, your adjectives will pile up after the construct chain. And then you kind of have to figure out which of the different nouns in construct or the absolute one, which ones they attribute to. Notice that there can be some ambiguity here sometimes, some ambiguity that you can't solve sometimes. Let's say it was too masculine or too feminine nouns here. Let's say it was bat ha'isha, the daughter of the woman, and then hatova hazot, the feminine forms of those adjectives and demonstratives. Then we would not know which one it went to. You'd have to kind of tell by context, like which one in the story does it make sense to point out is good and this one. Here's another example. Some ambiguity here. Ben ha'isha ha'tova hazot, the son of the woman. It's exactly the same phrase up here, but now we have ha'tova hazot, the feminine singular noun and the feminine singular demonstrative. Well, that's going to be the son of this good woman, because all those are feminine singular. Adjectives, normally, you'll find in like poetry, when people write poetry in any language, they break the rules, right? But in prose, you will almost never find adjectives that interrupt the construct chain. There's a couple that do, that I can think of off the top of my head in all the narratives I've read in the Bible, and they are very unusual. So you're not going to see one of those on a quiz or anything like that. Just go ahead and memorize that adjectives pile up after the end of the construct chain, after the absolute. So let's practice a couple of these, all right? So, Va'ela Shemot B'nai Yisrael. Va'ela, remember Va means and, Ela is these, and then Shemot is names. Va'ela Shemot, and these names. Remember in Hebrew we can add a verb. Remember we have this demonstrative, Ela, it's the common plural demonstrative. It's clearly linked to Shemot, feminine plural of the noun name, so the names. Remember this is treat it like an adjective, so this is going to precede, so it's going to be predicative. So these are, remember in the predicative we can add that verb to be, right? Is, are, etc. And these are the names of B'nai Yisrael. I said the names, by the way. It doesn't say the names right here, but I'm getting that because Israel's at the end of this chain, and Israel is definite. These are the names of the B'nai Yisrael, the children. Sons is quite literal, right? But as I said earlier, it doesn't make any sense like that because they're going to name women in this. And these are the names of the children of Israel, or the Israelites is another good way to translate that. Okay, another example. Divrei Kohelet ben David Melech B'Yerushalayim. Okay, so divrei, that's word. Here's a tricky one, is that one of the things that happens when you put things in construct, you know that im ending for like words, like devarim is words. Devar means singular word. Devarim, imagine there's a meme, a final meme here, that would be words, right? Devarim is words, devar is word. But what's divrei? I don't know this. I don't know just a yod on the end. Well, this is something that happens when you have a word in construct. The plural of the masculine plural form, you lose that last meme. Remember I said some things just kind of fall out? This is one of the big ones. Masculine plural nouns lose that meme. So divrei is the plural, the masculine plural of words, but if you see it like this, you know it means words of. And then Kohelet, that's the name of a person. This is the beginning of the book of Ecclesiastes, by the way. The words of Kohelet, and it's capitalized here. It means someone who assembles. I could go off about this name, but let's not. We got other fish to fry right now. But the words of Kohelet, the Ben David, the son of David. I'm going to say the son of David because David's definite, the son of David. And I would say the words of Kohelet because Kohelet's a name. The words of Kohelet, the son of David, Melech B'Yerushalayim, king in, this is be like in, and then Yerushalayim is Jerusalem, in Jerusalem. Here's another one, Yoshvei Yerushalayim. Okay, remember I said the meme here? You can see a yod ending. If you see a yod ending a word, and it's a root that you kind of know. So yashav means to dwell. Yoshevim would be the ones who dwell, dwellers. But we're losing that meme there. So that's because it fell off, because in construct you lost your meme. So Yoshvei Yerushalayim, the ones that dwell in Jerusalem, the dwellers of Jerusalem, the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Here's another example. U mibnei ha-naviim. This looks like a mess up here, but whenever you see a mess in Hebrew, start to take some things apart. Remember that you can divide. Look for things that you know that have been combined, right, and added to. One of the first things you can look at is the word and, u here. Remember, it's usually va. Va means and. It can turn into this shurek if the next word is a meme or a bait or a pay. It's just a lot easier to say. Vama is really hard to say. Vapa is really hard to say. They turned that into u just to make it a lot easier to say. So, u meaning and. It's also the only word you can start with a vowel because it only is a vowel. So it breaks that essential rule of Hebrew. It's the only thing to break it, though. So, u mibnei. B'nai. B'nai, I told you that. You've already seen it. That means children of. If you've got a meme stuck onto a word you know, and it has a hirek underneath it, especially if there's a dagesh in the next letter, you might be looking at nin. So, and, from, the children of, or the sons of Ha-Navi'im. Remember, Navi is prophet. Navi'im, that's prophets. Ha-Navi'im, that's the prophets. So, and from the sons of the prophets. You could also say the children of the prophets, or you could say the prophets themselves. I mean, the sons of the prophets, it really means a kind of a group of prophets. But in any event, let's try this one out here. Banot, Anshe Ha'ir. Now, Anshe should sound like a word you know, but it's like it's not complete. It's kind of like when I say I'm going to go. I am going to go. I'm going to go. I'm condensing my words. Here, something's been condensed. So Anshe, think of Anashim. Remember that? You've lost your meme. Your masculine plural ending has gone away. And then Ha'ir, the city. So Banot means daughters, just like Bain means sons. Banot means daughters. Daughters of Anshe, men of. Why do I say men of? Because you lost your meme. It'd be Anashim if it was men. Anshe always is going to mean men of. Ha'ir, the city. And remember, the definiteness works back up the chain. So the daughters of the men of the city. Here's another example. Barit Olam. Barit means covenant. Olam means eternity or perpetuity. The eternal, or the covenant of eternity. The eternal covenant. Now, there's no the, actually. I mean, I said the because there's one that we always talk about in the Bible. But there's actually more. There's multiple ones. So this is Genesis 9. This is the covenant with Noah. So Barit Olam, an eternal covenant. Har Kodshi. I said Kodshi. This is a Kametz Chatuf. It's followed by a schwa. So Kod Shi, if you kind of do your syllable work. So Har Kodshi. Remember Kodesh, your vocab word. So Kodesh, and then an E at the end. E at the end means my. So holiness of me. So mountain of holiness of me. The mountain of my holiness, or my holy mountain is another way to translate that. That means Zion, God's holy mountain, when God says that. This is definite here at the end, my holy mountain. There's only one of them, Zion. So my holy mountain, that's going to be definite. So the mountain of my holiness. Here's another one with that same root in it, Kodesh. And here we see Kodesh ha-Kodashim. Kodesh HaKodashim. Kodesh HaKodashim. Holy. The holies. The holy of holies, because it's in construct. Kodesh is a noun, meaning holy. Kodashim is a plural noun, meaning holies. Holy of the holies. The holy of holies, or the most holy place. This is, by the way, how you say these extreme superlatives in Hebrew. Or Eved Avadim, servant of servants. One way of saying the lowliest of servants or slaves. Eved can mean someone who has been enslaved, or it can mean someone who is indentured, a different kind of level or type of forced labor or slavery. It can also mean someone who has devoted themselves to a god. So Moses was the Eved Yahweh, the servant of Yahweh. And it can mean someone who's a servant who's getting paid and has a choice to leave. So this word has a very wide variety of possibilities. But here in Genesis 9, being used to describe the curse of Ham, which itself has a very terrible legacy of use and abuse throughout the history of Christianity. By the way, I don't have time to go into that right now, but remind me to get into that sometime. So then, Katon Banav. Katon Banav. Katon meaning little, and Banav meaning son. And then this Vav here, this is like of him. So the youngest of the sons of him, the littlest of his sons. The whole point here is just to show that we are doing this in construct. This littlest or youngest or lowliest or holy and so on. We can kind of generate these meanings through these construct chains. These are all kind of superlative, like the most, right? as we said earlier, there are a couple of different ways to do this in Hebrew, but this is one of them. Holy of Holies being the most well-known. Another example not on here is the Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs, the Song of Songs, the songiest of all the songs. So, all right, everybody, Zeh Kol. Kol means all. Zeh means that. That's all